As we wrap up another week here on Sports Radio 910, it's time for another installment of One More Minute with McElroy on sportsradio910.com. Kind of our after hours, after week party. Philadelphia Eagles were the big story in the National Football League this week, even drawing comparisons with all their moves to the Miami Heat. All right, they're not the Miami Heat, with the exception of Vince Young making a dumb comment calling them the Dream Team. The Eagles have got to look at themselves and realize they've got a lot of questions, just like everybody else. But the Eagles do have O-line issues, and they do have depth issues. They got to figure this thing out with Deshaun Jackson. And let's also put this in perspective. If the Eagles go to the line with Michael Vick, this team looks pretty darn good. In Week 4, if they go to the line with Vince Young, it's a totally different story. And as far as Vince Young, keep your mouth shut. As my pal and colleague Chris Landry said, backup quarterbacks are kind of like small children. They should be seen, not heard. What will be heard this weekend is not the crunching of pads in the Hall of Fame game, but we will have the 2011 Hall of Fame class into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Deion Sanders, Ed Sabol, and the guy I can't wait to see, Marshall Faulk. The cool thing about the Hall of Fame is, and this goes for baseball and for football, it makes you feel like a kid again. At the same time, it makes you feel kind of old. See some of the careers of guys that you watched as a kid come to a closure. But it does take you back. And it takes me back to 1993 and 1994, going in as a freshman in high school. And I ate up everything football. My first year playing football in high school, everything was football to me. And back then, you couldn't watch West Coast games. You had Sports Center, and I was a Sports Center kid. And I remember all the time they would flash up these highlights of this guy making incredible runs at a school called San Diego State University, the Aztecs. And I remember the name Marshall Faulk. I even remember telling my dad, "Hey, Dad, you gotta watch this guy. His name's Marshall Faulk." Even a dopey 14-year-old kid like me back then, you knew that there was something great going on. And this weekend, we see greatness going into the Hall of Fame. It'll be a pretty incredible weekend. I'm sure Deion Sanders' speech will be very eventful, and probably even the main event. But I'm looking forward to seeing Ed Sabol. Also looking forward to seeing Ed Sabol go in and presented by his son, both of which are not in good health. And I can't wait for the history lesson that comes from Hall of Fame weekends. As someone who didn't get to see Redskins linebacker Chris Hamburger play, it'll be neat to get an education about him. You can email me anytime, wes@sportsradio910.com. It's also great that Virginia and Virginia Tech are back practicing for college football. Hit me up on Twitter, @WesSR910. That's One More Minute with McElroy on sportsradio910.com.